Shalom Mishpachim, welcome to His Narrow Bridge. Our time together today is meant to immerse ourselves in the Word of Yahweh. It is meant to be a personal time of connection to the Word for each of us. I will read each word as translated in English in an interlinear Hebrew Bible. These shows are pre-recorded, so I will be in chat when they air. Feel free to use the chat to post anything that comes to your mind as we read the word. We will begin with prayer, followed by time for each of us to say our own personal prayers. Our beloved friend Alan Horvath taught us, make Elohim number one on a list of one. We pray in the name of Elohim, which includes Yahweh, Yeshua, and the Ruach HaKodesh. Thank you, Elohim, for our lives and all you provide. We ask for a hedge of protection around our mishpacha as we pray and study. We love you dearly. We are your children. We come to you with questions as we seek our personal relationships with you. Please help us learn. If any darkness enters our time together, we ask you now to rebuke it. We will now listen to your word as we immerse ourselves in it and let it speak to us. Mark chapter 14. And after 2 days was the Pascha of unleavened bread, and the chief priests and scribes were seeking with deception on how they might seize him and kill him. And they were saying, not during the feast, or else a riot should occur among the people. And while he was reclining in Bethania in the house of Shimon the potter, a woman came who had with her an alabaster vase of perfume of nard, the very best and expensive. 66. Aramaic reads Shimon the potter, not leper as the Greek has it. For more information, see page XIV. So we're clearing up a mistranslation from the Greek. Shimon is a potter. And the other 67 is just a technicality. And she opened it and poured it upon the head of Yeshua. And some of the disciples who were there were offended and said among themselves, why was the waste of this perfume? For it was able to be sold for more than 300 denarii and the money given to the poor. And they were angry with her. But Yeshua said, leave her alone. Why are you troubling her? She has done a good deed for me. For you have the poor with you always, and whenever you desire, you are able to do what is good for them. But I am not always among you. She had to do this. She did it in advance. As for my burial, she has perfumed my body. Truly, I say to you, that wherever my hope is preached, this thing that she has done will be told in all the world for her remembrance. And that is true. We hear this story all the time. Verse 10, and Yehuda Iscariota, one of the 12, went to the chief priests so as to betray Yeshua to them. And when they heard him, they rejoiced and they promised to give him money. And he was seeking an opportunity for himself to betray him. And in the first day of the unleavened bread, in which the Yehudians slay the Pascha, his disciples were saying to him, where do you desire us to go for you to prepare the Pascha to eat? And he sent 2 of his disciples and said to them, go into the city, and behold, you will meet up with a man who is carrying a vessel of water. Go and follow him. And where he enters, say to the master of the house, Our master said, where is the guest house where I may eat the pashka with my disciples? So isn't it amazing how random events lead to significance? Verse 15, and behold, he will show you a large upper room that is furnished. Make that room ready and prepared as that place for us to eat. And his disciples went out and came to the city and found just as he had said to them, and they prepared the pashka. And when it became evening, he came with his 12. And while they were reclining and eating, Yeshua said, truly I say to you that one of you who eats with me will betray me. And they began to be grieved and were saying to him one at a time, is it I? And he said to them, it is one of the 12 who dips with me in the dish. And the Son of Man will go as it is written concerning him. But woe to that man by whose hand the Son of Man is betrayed. It is better for him if he had not been born. Then while they were eating, Yeshua took bread and blessed it and broke it and gave it to them and said to them, take it, this is my body. And he took a cup and gave thanks and blessed it and gave it to them, and all of them drank from it. So, what kind of bread was that? It's Passover, it is matzah, and you can do communion with kosher for Passover matzah. Verse 24, and he said to them, this is my blood of the renewed covenant, shed for the sake of many. 68. See Matthew 26:28. Verse 25, I say truly to you that I will not drink from the fruit of the vine again until that day in which I will drink it anew in the kingdom of Elohim. Verse 26, then they offered praise and went out to the Mount of Olives. Yeshua said to them, all of you will be made to stumble at me in this night, for it is written that I will strike the shepherd and his lambs will be scattered. Zechariah 13, verse 7. Sword, awake against my shepherd and against the man who is my companion, says Yahweh of hosts. Strike the shepherd and will be scattered the sheep, and I will turn my hand against the little ones. Verse 28, but when I have risen, I will be in Galilee before you. Kepha said to him, even if all of them stumble, I will not stumble. Yeshua said to him, truly I say to you that you today in this night will deny me 3 times before the cock will crow. 70 and 71. Footnote 70, indicating that Yeshua held the day to begin at sunset. Aramaic reads, Yomana Belayla Hana Kedem, this day in the night before the rooster crows before dawn, so the day must begin at sunset. Footnote 71, the temple crier was a gaver, Hebrew for cock or rooster. He called out loudly to announce early morning services at the temple. Verse 31, but he all the more was saying, even if it be that I must die with you, I will not deny you, my master. And likewise, also all the disciples were saying, then they came to a place which was called Gethsemane, and he said to his disciples, sit here while I pray. Footnote 72, Kaboris clarifies the disciple was saying with the additional word Talmidah. This reading is retained in the Aramaic. Verse 33, and he took with him Kepha and Yaakov and Yochanan, and he began to be sad and depressed. And he said to them, Grievous, even to death, is this situation to my soul. Remain here and be alert. Footnote 73. Caburus has remain to hear, which means exactly the same as the 1905 reading of remain here. 1905 reading is retained in the Aramaic. Verse 35. And he went on a little and fell upon the ground and was praying that if possible this hour might pass from him. And he said, Father, my father, anything is possible for you. Make pass from me this cup, not my will, but yours. And he came and found them while they were sleeping. And he said to Kepha, Shimon, you are sleeping. Are you not able to stay alert for 1 hour? Stay alert and pray, or else you enter into temptation. The spirit is willing and ready, but the body is weak. Verse 39. And he returned, prayed, and came again, and found them while they were sleeping, because their eyes were heavy, and they were not realizing what to say to him. Footnote 74 is just a technicality. Verse 41. And he came a third time and said to them, Sleep now and rest. The end has arrived and the hour has come. And behold, the Son of Man is delivered into the hands of sinners. Arise, let us go. Behold, he who has betrayed me draws near to me. And while he was speaking, there came Yehuda Iscariota, one of the 12, and many people with swords and staves from being with the chief priests and scribes and elders. And he, the traitor who had betrayed them, had given them a sign, and he had said, He whom I kiss, that is he. Seize him securely and take him away. And at once he drew near and said to him, Rabbi, Rabbi, and kissed him. And they placed their hands on him and seized him. Then one of them who was standing there drew a sword and attacked the servant of the high priest and severed his ear. But Yeshua answered and said to them, As against a robber do you come out with swords and with staves to seize me. I was with you all day while I was teaching in the temple, but you did not seize me. This has occurred that the scriptures might be fulfilled. Footnote 75, Caburus has come out on with swords. The 1905 reading drops on and is retained in the Aramaic. Verse 50, then his disciples left him and fled, and a certain young lad was following after him and was clothed with a linen cloth. He was naked and they seized him. And then he left the linen cloth and ran away naked. Then they took Yeshua to Caiaphas, the high priest, and the chief of priests, and scribes and elders were all gathered with him. Shimon was following after him from afar up to the edge of the courtyard of the high priest, and he was sitting among the servants and was warming himself near the fire. The chief priests and all their assembly were seeking testimony against Yeshua so that they might kill him, but they did not find it. For while many were testifying against him, their testimony was not worthy. Some false witnesses rose up against him, and they said, We heard him when he said that I will tear down this temple, which was made with hands, and in 3 days I will build another that is not made with hands. And thus not even their testimony was worthy. And the high priest arose in the midst and questioned Yeshua and said, Why do you not answer the accusation? They are testifying these things against you. But he was silent and did not answer him anything. And again the high priest asked him and said, Are you Mashiach, the son of the Blessed One? And Yeshua said to him, I am. And you will see the Son of Man sitting at the right hand of power and coming upon the clouds of heaven. Footnote 76, Kaburas identifies the speaker as Yeshua. This reading is retained in the Aramaic. And 77 is Daniel 7:13 and Psalm 110:1. Daniel 7:13. Was watching I in visions night and behold, with clouds of heaven, the one like a son of man came, coming, and to Ancient of Days he came, and before him they brought him near. Psalm 110 of David, a psalm. Said Yahweh to my Elohim, sit at my right hand till I make your enemies your footstool. Verse 63, then the high priest tore his robe and said, why are we seeking witnesses now? Behold, from his mouth you have heard blasphemy. What do you think? They and all of them judged that he deserved death. Verse footnote 78, steeped in corrupt tradition, the plain truth of Scripture eluded the high priest. It is not blasphemy to quote the prophet Daniel. The high priest had succumbed to the religio-political forces of the day with which he had been ensnared. Wow, aren't we ensnared today in religious and political forces? Let's not succumb to them. 65, and some began spitting in his face, and they covered his face and were striking him and saying prophecy, and the soldiers were striking him on his cheeks. And while Shimon was below in the courtyard, a certain maiden came of the high priest. She saw him while warming herself, and she looked at him and said to him, you were also with Yeshua the Nazariah. But he denied it and said, I do not know what you're talking about. And he went outside to the porch, and the cock crowed. Verse 69, and that maiden saw him again, and she began telling those who were standing there that this was one of them. But he denied it again. And after a little while again, those who were standing there said to Kepha, truly you are one of them, for even your speech is like theirs. You are one from Galilee. Footnote 80, there are minor variations, but identical meaning phrases here and in 1471 between Kaburas and other Peshitta manuscripts, 1905. The 1905 reading is retained in the Aramaic. Verse 71, and he was beginning to curse and swore that, I do not know this man that you are talking about. And at that moment, the cock crowed the second time. And Shimon remembered the saying of Yeshua, who had said to him that before the cock crows 2 times, 3 times you will deny me. And he began to weep. How often do we not realize in the moment of our denial, and we find later, sometimes we do not realize it until after the fact.
מתחילה. וחדוני לקראת הלה, פני שבת נתקבלה. וחדוני לקראת הלה, פני שבת נתקבלה.
The Ugly Duckling by Hans Christian Andersen. Once upon a time, down on an old farm, lived a duck family, and Mother Duck had been sitting on a clutch of new eggs. One nice morning the eggs hatched, and out popped 6 chirpy ducklings. But one egg was bigger than the rest, and it didn't hatch. Mother Duck couldn't recall laying that 7th egg. How did it get there? The little prisoner was pecking inside his shell. Did I count the eggs wrongly, Mother Duck wondered? But before she had time to think about it, the last egg finally hatched, a strange-looking duckling with gray feathers that should have been yellow, gazed at a worried mother. The ducklings grew quickly, but Mother Duck had a secret worry. I can't understand how this ugly duckling can be one of mine, she said to herself, shaking her head as she looked at her last-born. Well, the gray duckling certainly wasn't pretty, and since he ate far more than his brothers, he was outgrowing them. As the days went by, the poor ugly duckling became more and more unhappy. His brothers didn't want to play with him. He was so clumsy, and all the farmyard folks simply laughed at him. He felt sad and lonely, while Mother Duck did her best to console him. Poor little ugly duckling, she would say, why are you so different from the others? And the ugly duckling felt worse than ever. He secretly wept at night. He felt nobody wanted him. Nobody loves me. They all tease me. Why am I different from my brothers? Then one day, at sunrise, he ran away from the farmyard, He stopped at a pond and began to question all the other birds. "Do you know any ducklings with gray feathers like mine?" But everyone shook their heads with scorn. "We don't know anyone as ugly as you." The ugly duckling did not lose heart, however, and kept on making inquiries. He went to another pond, where a pair of large geese gave him the same answer to his question. What's more, they warned him, "Don't stay here, go away, it's dangerous. There are men with guns around here." The duckling was sorry he had ever left the farmyard. Then, one day, his travels took him near an old country woman's cottage. Thinking he was a stray goose, she caught him. "I'll put you in a hutch. I hope it's a female, and lays plenty of eggs," said an old woman, whose eyesight was very poor. But the ugly duckling laid not a single egg. The hen kept frightening him. "Just wait, if you don't lay eggs, the old woman will wring your neck and pop it into a pot." And the cat chipped in, "I hope the woman cooks you, then I can gnaw at your bones." The poor ugly duckling was so scared that he lost his appetite. Then the old woman kept stuffing him with food and grumbling, "If you won't lay eggs, at least hurry up and get plump." "Oh, dear me," moaned the now terrified duckling. "I'll die of fright first. And I did so hope someone would love me." Then, one night, finding the hutch door ajar, he escaped. Once again he was all alone. He fled as far away as he could, and at dawn he found himself in a thick bed of reeds. "If nobody wants me, I'll hide here forever." There was plenty of food, and the duckling began to feel a little happier, though he was lonely. One day, at sunrise, he saw a flight of beautiful birds wing overhead, white, with long, slender necks, yellow beaks, and large wings. They were migrating south. "If only I could look like them, just for one day," said the duckling, admiringly. Winter came, and the water in the reed bed froze. The poor duckling left home to seek food in the snow. He dropped exhausted to the ground, but a farmer found him and put him in a big jacket pocket. "I'll take him home to my children. They'll look after him. Poor thing, he's frozen." The duckling was showered with kindly care at the farmer's house. In this way, the ugly duckling was able to survive the bitterly cold winter. However, by springtime, he had grown so big that the farmer decided, "I'll set him free by the pond." That was when the duckling saw himself mirrored in the water. "Goodness, how I've changed! I hardly recognize myself." The flight of swans winged north again and glided onto the pond. When the duckling saw them, he realized he was one of their kind, and soon made friends. "We're swans like you," they said warmly. "Where have you been hiding?" "It's a long story," replied the young swan, still astonished. Now he swam majestically with his fellow swans. One day he heard children on the river bank exclaim, "Look at that young swan. He's the finest of them all." And he almost burst with happiness.
For more information about these videos, look at the video description and click more. You can then have links to my YouTube channel and the YouTube playlist, which has all the Aramaic English New Testament videos, Bible Hub links, and Odiote. So this is useful because you can click a chapter and go word by word through the scriptures and get details about each word and where they are used throughout the Bible.